Hear ye, hear ye. I'm Dave Nelson. On this 22nd day of January 2015, I call to order the 36th meeting of the SciFi Geeks Club from galacticnetcasts.com. So put on your membership pin, give the old secret handshake, and let's begin. We don't have a guest this week, but we do have two out of the three co-hosts. With me tonight is Brad Ludwig and Matt Stein. How you guys doing?
Excellent.
Terrific.
Brad, do you want to give an update on the status of Anessa?
Anessa is still visiting her parents, but she is coming back from Texas Sunday afternoon, so she will be with us for the next show.
All right, and I forgot to mention, Matt, you've been away for a while. I don't remember the last episode of SciFi Geeks Club that you were on. It was in early December, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It was a long time ago.
Of course, you can catch Matt and myself on another Galactic Netcast show, Weird World Weekly. We just recorded 3 episodes on Sunday, and we'll be releasing them over the next few weeks. So if you haven't checked out Weird World Weekly, please do so. It's a great show, if I do say so myself.
I enjoy doing it. I also enjoy trying to lump all the W words together in one sentence and ultimately go on and on for like 10 seconds saying random W words.
Yeah, we had fun with that over the weekend. That was enjoyable. All right, let's talk about science fiction. That's why we're here. Sci-fi. It's the SciFi Geeks Club, and today or this week's hypothetical question. There's no wrong answers unless I determine there's a wrong. Your answer is wrong. So let's ask both you guys this week's hypothetical question. It is, what character in sci-fi do you most relate to and why? Let's go with Brad first.
What character in sci-fi do I most relate to?
Like a person that you could maybe sit down and have a conversation with, or you think that you could be like?
Wash from Firefly.
Oh, you got the hat. Didn't he wear a hat like that?
I don't know.
Sometimes.
No, this is an actual baseball cap, actually.
Okay.
From a no longer existing radio station.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Hmm.
You had it in backwards. You were sporting the Silent Bob look.
Yes.
The cool kid look?
Yeah, he's trying to be ghetto.
See, my joke against Brad went completely unnoticed because he took his headphones off.
Oh, I'm sorry. What was your joke, Matthew?
I said you were trying to look cool. It has lost the luster.
Trying to look cool?
Oh, you're so cool. I want to be friends with you today.
So
You are my friend, Matthew.
don't fight over who's friends with who, okay?
Oh boy.
We're all friends equally. So, Brad, tell us why you can relate to Wash from Firefly the most.
He, like myself, has action figures. I think I have a dinosaur action figure somewhere. He's a nerdy and funny guy. He tries to diffuse situations with humor, which is something that I do. So, I don't know. I think that we have a number of similar qualities, and I think he'd be kind of cool to hang with.
Okay, all right. So you think that you would have a lot to talk about if you sat down and had a beer together?
Yes.
Or a pop?
Or, yes. Like a Coke Zero.
Yep.
Delicious.
Matt, your turn. Hypothetical question. What person in sci-fi can you relate the most to and why?
So it's a really difficult question because I don't know a lot of characters.
Douglas Quaid.
And that was my first thought was that or one of the Terminator, but I'm like, well, I can't. That'd be too easy.
What we think that you're going to answer with. So surprise us.
That's not where I was going. I was thinking maybe Wolverine or Gambit, just because they seem like guys that probably want to drink beer.
And you've got the facial hair too.
It takes me 6.5 months to grow it, so let's hang out, Wolverine.
You have, what was Wolverine's skull, or not skull, but his skeleton made out of?
Adamantium.
Adamantium, yeah.
Do you have adamantium?
I wish I would probably be a much healthier person if I did.
Yeah, you got a little bit of something going on right now, don't you?
Yeah, I have a lot of bit of something all the time. If it's not one thing, it's another thing. I should just sit in a bubble.
But
Worked
that,
for John Travolta
right,
in that
yeah.
made-for-TV movie. All right, thanks.
Little known, really bad movie from the 70s.
What about Jake Gyllenhaal in Bubble Boy?
Never saw it.
What? He loves comic books, I think.
Jake Gyllenhaal wishes he could be as cool as John Travolta was in that movie.
Yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal's kind of weird. And then he made that movie where he takes pictures of people and he looks like a skeevy perv the whole time.
Oh, yeah. That was
Nightcrawler or whatever.
Yep, Nightcrawler. Yep.
Okay, never heard of it.
Although
You're
Nightcrawler
not
would
missing
be
anything.
cool to hang out with.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Oh yeah, he's Nightcrawler's also on X-Men.
Yep.
Okay. He's was he the German one?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and he bothered me for some reason. I don't know why.
Because
In the
he's
movie?
German?
I think so. His accent threw me off.
Okay,
Okay, German people that listen to this podcast, don't get all up in arms.
I love German people. Germany is on one of my places I want to go before I die, so
Yeah.
you guys can like me, not Dave.
I think his particular German accent bothered me for some reason. I don't know why.
I think it sounded probably really fake, and maybe that's what bothered you about it.
Something with his face and teeth too, I think.
Wow, you're digging a hole. I looked at his face and heard him speak in his German accent, and I just hate him.
Those blue-skinned people. That needs to stop.
Okay.
Am I right? Huh?
No. All right. So let's continue on with the podcast.
Why are you racist against blue-skinned
I'm not
people?
racist against human people
I'm
with
sorry.
weird faces.
You guys are treading on.
Not at all.
Yep. We're on thin ice and we're walking away. We're walking away from that frozen pond.
Why are we getting uncomfortable talking about being racist?
Blue-skinned people? I don't know, but you know what? I bet you we've got some sci-fi bites that we could go over.
Yeah, we do. I suppose.
I just don't want to offend anybody.
All the blue skin mutants that listen to the podcast that are happen to be German? Is that what you're talking about, Matthew?
It's possible. You never know. You just never know. I love my blue skin overlords.
Okay. So you're covering your butt, basically.
Yes, in the event that blue-skinned Germans take over the world and find this recording, I want them to know that I love them and that I welcome them.
Okay, you heard it here first. Okay, now it's time for Sci-Fi Bites. These are basically just quick hits of stories that came across the wire this week. There's no real wire. That's like old school radio talk. First story, some of the best Star Wars games ever. We're talking video games now available digitally for the first time.
I saw that.
When I saw this story, it took me back to the arcade back in the 1980s where there was a Star Wars game that you sat in, like you were in the X-Wing fighter, and you went down the trenches of the Death Star and tried to put that laser in the porthole to blow it up. And I never.
We had that for PC.
Really?
Like way back when, yeah. There was 2 other missions you could fly to as 2 of the other ships that I don't know what they're called. Sorry. I think one was the Millennium Falcon, and you just flew through like some stuff, and the other one was like an X-wing or something.
I think
flew through space.
I think I remember playing that game too. That was like the next one after that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Brad, do you remember playing any of the Star Wars video games growing up, or even not even growing up, like recently?
Well, I've got. I played Battlefront a few times, which is kind of like Call of Duty, but yeah. I think Battlefront was the one that was Call of Duty-like, or that was the one that you flew.
Battlefield.
Yeah. What is the Matt? What are the games? I have it on PlayStation, but I haven't played it in forever. The Force Unleashed, or
There's a ton of them, but yeah, there was the Force Unleashed, and then Battlefront was the one where you reenacted the famous fights.
yeah,
Um, there's a lot. It's a difficult
yeah. I
answer.
think it's Force. I had the first Force Unleashed game because didn't they just release two, or within the past year or two?
Yeah,
Yeah,
pretty
that's
recent.
that's the one that I have. Um, but then in the arcade, I remember that same game, being able to just sit down and fly with other uh, X-wing ships,
It was
stuff
really
like that.
bad. It was really, really bad graphics. It was
It
vector.
was vector graphics, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So they're being offered on this website, GOG.com.
I love GOG.
Oh, okay. The ones that they just released, X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, X-Wing Alliance, and Galactic Battlegrounds, and they're all DRM free. They previously launched, or they previously made available, let's see, Battlefront 2, and these were previously only available on Steam. Battlefront 2, Dark Forces, and the sequel to the RPG Knights of the Old Republic. They were previously released on GOG. So tell us more about this website.
It's I don't want to say it's similar to Steam because it's not. It's a storefront, and they originally were just making old school games, and then they would build them into DOSBox so you could run them in newer operating systems.
Okay.
So I primarily use it for all the old point-and-click adventure games from the 90s. So I have like Space Quest and King's Quest and Police Quest and like the original Gabriel Knight games. They kind of started branching out now. Like they just released the Double Dragon trilogy, which I bought for like $4.50. But yeah, that was they're moving into more releasing newer games at the same time. But when I first heard of it, it was the only place you could go to get old games that you could get to run on new operating systems.
It's really been that's been a big thing the last, I don't know, month or so, because archive.org just made available a whole bunch of old like arcade and early console games. So
Yeah,
Nice.
it's a cash cow. If you could recreate old games that people my age and a little older want to replay,
Yeah.
there's a lot of money on that.
Yeah, I used to have the first Knights of the Old Republic. God, I love that game. That was so fun.
okay, Brad, you're a fan of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., right?
Yes.
So who is Edward James Olmos going to play on Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? That's the big question.
There's a lot of speculation, and I think right now, well, he's playing a character named Robert Gonzalez, but that name doesn't seem to equate to anything in the Marvel universe.
Well, okay. This story went on to say that, or point out, I guess, that other characters that have had previous names before turned out or ended up being somebody else. Like, what's her face is now Earthquake. Is that her name?
She's just Quake.
Quake. That's Sky. Turned out to be
Yep.
Quake. And then who is the one guy that was on the very first episode? He turned into like a cyborg dude.
Yeah, he's Deathlock.
Yeah, he didn't go by that name at first. So
Nope.
So the Edward James almost could be somebody known in the Marvel universe.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those things where when does the next episode start?
Well, it's not till after Agent Carter's done.
Yeah, so we're looking at March.
Yes.
Gosh, so much can happen between now and then as to what they're going to reveal, but this is such a juicy. I mean, there was so much speculation as to what character Lucy Lawless was going to play, and she ended up just being in one episode.
That was the biggest letdown ever.
Um,
Lucy Lawless. Oh, she's dead.
And one of the things that I think Olmos had said is that his character puts a smile on your face, or when he smiles, everyone smiles. So, I mean, that could mean that he's some kind of crazy telepath that can control people's minds, or, we just don't know.
So he did an interview with Comic Book Resources, and if you don't follow Comic Book Resources, you should. They put out some good stuff.
Yes.
I follow them on Facebook, and he mentioned that it's a pretty short arc, only between 3, 5, or 6 shows that he'll be on. But that seems like a lot to me, actually.
More than Lucy Lawless.
Yeah, definitely. He says, I'm working with everyone. I can't really say too much about his character, because they already told me what not to do. Basically, though, it's us being there really pushes it up and over. The realities are very strong, and storylines are very dark. And he says that his character is going to affect like a lot, like something. He's gonna cause. How did he say it? Oh, massive repercussions. His character will have massive repercussions for Agent Director Coulson and the rest of the team. So, sounds like could be a major character.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do. And they, after everything that happened, after the Captain America Winter Soldier came out, the series just got so much better, and then the start to the second season, it's just been action-packed. So I doubt that they're going to be slowing down or screwing anything up here. I think it's going to continue to keep improving.
I can't wait until they start digging into that whole Inhumans thing. That's going to be interesting.
And it's going to be a long, slow burn, too, because the Inhumans film, I think, doesn't come out until, 2017?
Yeah, it's 2 years.
Yeah, so whatever they're doing, it's going to be, I have a feeling they're going to be, we're going to learn more about them, and then they're going to slip into the shadows, and then they're going to show up again, and then the movie will happen. So.
All right. So moving on with, thank you for that prediction, Brad.
Sure.
We'll see if it comes true. Next sci-fi bite is Chuck's Zachary Levi returning to TV, returning to NBC with a key role in Heroes Reborn, which is, I think, coming out either this summer or this fall. Limited miniseries, picking up where the old Heroes show left off, presumably. Are you guys pretty excited about this? Did either of you watch Chuck? That's the bigger question.
Yes.
Yes.
I saw them all.
Oh, you were a fan then?
Late to the game. By the end of it, I was so invested, I forced myself to finish it.
Yeah, something happened with Hulu and their relationship with Chuck, because I remember seeing like the first 3 episodes, and then I think they decided to make it exclusive. You had to prove that you had cable TV to be able to watch the rest of them.
No, you know what? I think it was something like, I remember dealing with an issue with that as well. I think it was they eventually released them, but way late. Like they eventually put them on Hulu, but it was well after like the episode is aired.
It was in my favorites until after the series had completely ended, and I left it there for a little bit. So if they waited a long time until I just lost interest. And I don't know how the show ended, quite honestly. I missed most of that last season.
I don't remember how it ended.
But I followed it religiously up until, I bought seasons 1 through 3 on DVD. So, I love Chuck a lot.
I just think it started to get a little ridiculous. I don't want to get into it too much because I don't remember it well enough, but I do think
it did. That last season, what I saw of it, I was like, oh, really? You're going to go that route?
Yeah, it turned more into like a love story than him being a secret agent.
So, next question, did you guys watch Heroes when it was on?
Yes.
No.
No, Brad. Really? Okay.
Nope.
I wasn't prepared for that answer.
A number of people have tried. I saw part of the first episode, and uh, at that time I didn't have cable, but then I didn't really know about Hulu, or Hulu didn't quite exist yet, so there wasn't a. And then I just never really went back to try to watch it. And then at the point where I'm like, well, now I've got Hulu, maybe I can go back and Netflix, maybe I can go back and watch them. And it was, the really crappy season had come out, and I'm like, no, now I've kind of lost interest again. So
It's one of those shows, very much like Chuck, where it started off really good and kind of went downhill. Do you agree, Matt?
Yeah, and that happens with a lot of TV shows. Like, it's not sci-fi, but it happened with Workaholics pretty quick. The first 2 seasons were really good, and then the third one started to get really bad. And I think the reason for that is because when the show is pitched, they have like 2 seasons worth written of all these ideas, and then it gains such quick momentum that they're like, keep them coming, and the product fails to live up to the standard. And that's Heroes was 2 or 3 seasons that were good, and then I think it was the third or the fourth season where they were in the freak show or something, and it just sucked. And I don't remember what happened in that one because I gave up on it.
What I was disappointed with right off the bat or early on, was they weren't really heroes. They weren't. I was kind of hoping that they'd become superheroes, but they never really were. They were just people with mutant powers. That's not it.
I think that's kind of what got it for a lot of people, because they made them real. Like, they made them normal people that just something happened to happen to.
Okay.
But I don't know, though. There's the blonde girl who's the cheerleader, whose name I don't know how to say. She's very attractive, so that was half the reason for me to watch it.
Oh, Hayden Panettiere?
Yeah, whatever. Blondie, I want to bang you.
Okay, back to Heroes Reborn. Not that I don't want to hear about
yeah.
Matt's lustful thoughts, but it seems like these networks are going for the nostalgia of shows that people used to like, and they're bringing them back because they brought back 24 last year.
Yeah, but everyone's running out of ideas. I feel like we had this conversation this weekend, but it's like everything's just getting recycled. Like with movies, they reboot movies quicker and quicker, and they make sequels. Like they're making Rocky 7 now for some reason, and it's just no one can come up with good new ideas anymore because.
And isn't Rocky 7 not even about Rocky? It's about like what's his face's grandson.
The only reason I know it exists is because I went on Reddit and there was a Simpsons joke. Because Rocky 7 is called Creed, and there was an episode of The Simpsons where Bart had to get out of a tiger cage and he had to know the Roman numeral for 7. And he says Rocky 5 plus Rocky 2 equals Rocky 7, Adrian's Revenge. So people are pissed that it's called Creed and not Adrian's Revenge. That's the only thing I know about it.
That'd be great. All right, so that's that. Zachary Levi going to be on Heroes Reborn, and that's being released this fall, I think. Final story in SciFi Bites, and this is my favorite story of the week. Favorite story. I'm so excited about this. Simon Pegg is co-writing Star Trek 3. Yes.
Yay.
Do you realize the momentous occasion that this is, Matt? This is awesome.
No, I don't even know who Simon Pegg is.
Okay, Simon Pegg was in
Shaun of the Dead.
Oh, okay.
Hot Fuzz.
Yep. Now I know who he is.
Run, Fat Boy, Run.
But that's weird to me because he's really only done comedy. So
that's what's awesome about this. He is okay. They've had some issues. They had another guy that was writing it, he was gonna refresh my memory, Brad. Roberto Orci?
Yes.
He was the writer who's going to direct the movie, and he dropped off. And I think it's very encouraging they get somebody like Simon Pegg, who not only has writing experience, but he has experience with the franchise because he plays Scotty as well.
It's one of those things where I hope that it doesn't turn into Which movie was the one that Shatner directed?
Oh, Star Trek
That
V.
was
Yeah, that was the
yeah,
worst.
that was, and it's like, okay, you want to direct, very proud of you. You had the story idea, very proud of you, and it was horrible. It really was.
But okay, here's the encouraging news: is he's not alone. He's writing it with a guy by the name of Doug Jung.
Ooh, Doug.
He has been involved with. He's been involved with Bad Robot and Paramount for a while. He's written for them a couple of occasions, and he is the co-writer of the TNT series Dark Blue. I'm not familiar with that. Do either of you know what Dark Blue is?
Mm-mm.
No clue.
The internet. The internet has
you
all
know
the
what?
answers.
He will co-write the script. No, never mind. I just said that. Yeah, Dark Blue. Look it up, please. I want to know.
Dark Blue. Officer Carter Shaw and his team go undercover, sometimes too deep, among the criminals of modern-day Los Angeles.
All right.
Starred Dylan McDermott. Trisha Helfer
Oh,
was
Battlestar.
in 10 episodes. It looks like it almost got a season.
Okay. Well,
It had 20 episodes.
you never know. That's cable. They get less episodes per season. I think.
Nope, you're right, because there was a season 2, and season 2 had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. So they got a season and a half
Okay.
of Dark Blue.
All right. So
Total
anyway,
of 30 episodes.
Star Trek 3 scheduled to be released July 2016, and they're going into production this spring. So they better get on it. They're on the clock. Time's a tick. So we'll see what happens with that. Okay, that is your Sci-Fi Bites. Let's move on to the discussion stories. And I've seen this story sitting here tempting us for the past month.
It hasn't been that long. It was like 2 weeks, I think. Get out of here.
So Matt, you're back. What do you got for us in the discussion stories this week?
I'm gonna follow up something we've previously talked about was the shoes from Back to the Future 2 are 100% for sure happening, and they're coming out in sometime of 2015 as the closest thing to a release date. Tinker Hatfield, who's a top designer at Nike, revealed that the Nike Air Mag, the self-lacing shoe that Marty McFly sports in the movie, will be a reality this year. Didn't give an exact release date, told the crowd that it's at this time, the story came out in like 10 days ago, so he said he still has 11 and 2/3 months left of the year to release these. According to the patent, the shoe will have a weight sensor in the sole along with a control device and a strap moving mechanism to self-lace.
So basically, you just like tap on the.
You put your foot in it and it's supposed to lace, which I think is really cool, but I foresee a lot of people losing circulation in their feet.
Yeah, they better be careful. Like, and I hope that there's an off button, like an emergency stop button.
I'm
sure
curious.
That's some kind of sensor.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what happens to prevent that, because, like you said, I mean, if you just step in there and it just cinches around your foot, like, how's it to know if it's tight or not?
I'm guessing that these are going to be very expensive.
No doubt.
Would either of you want a pair of these?
No. I mean, if they were really cheap and I happened upon them, I might get them to have them, but I would never, ever seek them out to purchase them, to wear them for the sake of, like, being cool.
I think that more people will buy these for nostalgia than anything else. Than actually to want to wear. Maybe they'll wear them a few times and go, "Hey, look at my Back to the Future shoes," and then they'll put them back on.
But they're super ugly shoes. Like, they're gray and white with some sort of blue and white vomit spattle on them, and they're like ultra high tops.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like shoes and I hate high tops, so I would never ever buy these.
Yeah. I've got a trick ankle, so I enjoy the heck out of
I
tops.
have absolutely terrible ankles. I hurt myself last Thursday playing soccer. I was drinking and playing soccer, but that's a different story. But yeah, I have really weak ankles from playing soccer. I roll them all the time, and I still refuse to wear high tops.
All right. So
that's really the gist of it. It wasn't a super great or long story, but hopefully someone out there is excited.
This is going to be a continuing theme all year long.
These shoes.
The whole Back to the Future thing. Because
that's true. Because October, it's October, right?
I believe so.
I believe he goes to October.
August or October? I can't remember.
It's the 21st, correct?
Yeah, I think it's October.
To the future.
Pretty sure it's October. But this is we're going to be seeing headlines all year long. Another thing that was seen on, I saw it with 3D technology this week. That the 3D technology from Back to the Future is a reality. Yee!
October 21st is the date.
Okay.
Yeah. It was actually hard to find because so many people doctored the picture to say it was Tuesday. So there's a ton of them. But the October 21st. So I don't know. Oh, yeah, what day of the week is that? Should have a special show that day.
I want to hear more about your drinking and playing soccer.
By the way, October 21st is a Wednesday, so it could fall on show date.
Ooh. We should do an all like Back to the Future story episode.
Write it down, take a note in your BlackBerry, and we'll do it in 9 months.
Take a note in your BlackBerry.
So I guess I'll give you a quick synopsis of me drinking and playing soccer, which is not uncommon. A lot of times we'll go to the bar before our games and have like a beer or two because why not? But I had a work thing that day. We left work at 2 and went and celebrated a huge project, so we got booze there. And then I went home and ate something and then went to the bar and then went and played soccer. And then I was like dribbling the ball and rolled my ankle and finished the game. So we had like 3/4 of it. I felt fine. I went home, no big deal. And I woke up the next morning and I had like a softball and I'm like, ooh, that's bad.
Wow.
Yeah.
You were too loose. You weren't thinking.
Well, I was walking around and doing stuff, and I'm like, this doesn't really hurt nearly as bad as it should based on how it looks, but I still took it easy for the weekend. But yeah, so moral of the story is don't do drugs, kids.
Yeah, I just flat out tore 70% of the ligaments in my ankle. So.
Wow.
See, I've never torn a ligament. I've never broken my ankle. I have just sprained both of them both directions multiple times. So I feel like I have really loose rubber bands for tendons in my ankles.
I've been very lucky. I haven't had any kind of major injury when it comes to knees, ankles, elbows. I've never had a broken bone, knock on wood.
I haven't broken a bone either, so.
Yeah, I've just broken toes, but that's it.
I have flipped a riding lawnmower and come out completely unscathed.
Jeez.
I needed a new pair of underwear, but I did not hurt myself at all.
Good for you.
It was probably one of the most terrifying moments of my life.
Yeah?
So, do you guys want to move on?
Yeah, let's move on.
We should totally move on.
All right, so I saw this a couple days ago and thought of Brad at first. Right away, immediately thought of Brad and thought, hey, we've got to talk about this week on the SciFi Geeks Club because this is a huge story. Brad, what is it?
Well, let me tell you a story about the end of the universe.
The actual end of the universe, like
yes,
things are going to blink out of existence. We're not going to be here anymore.
Well, the universe in question is the Marvel comic book universe. Just to be clear, not the cinematic universe. Very different.
Sorry?
Sorry?
Or our actual universe.
Yes, correct. That would be I think that would be another show completely. No, oftentimes, and I do say oftentimes because this has happened with DC at least 3 times. They will reboot their universe, and they'll reboot it for separate, different reasons. To fix continuity issues, to change a complete editorial standpoint of how they want to structure stories, and that's what's happened with DC. But now Marvel's done something interesting. They haven't rebooted anything, so a lot of the continuity that you have is some of the same stuff that Peter Parker stories in the 60s still have in play. Obviously, it's 2015, so that's incredibly dated. So they're taking 50 years of this kind of hodgepodge of continuity, and they really want to start over. Now, Marvel has their regular universe, which is called 616, and those of you that watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Will catch that. Their plane, their tag is 616 for the plane,
wow.
and that's a nod to that.
I never heard that.
Yeah. So, what they're going to be doing is they're taking the 616, the regular universe, and at one point in time, Marvel decided to approach their years and years of continuity baggage and created a Marvel Ultimate line. It's a separate universe where they've really updated and changed the characters. So like the Fantastic Four were rebooted as the majority of them were genius kids, right? So they're all teenagers, and Reed Richards does an experiment in exploring a pocket universe. And he does this experiment, but this kid, Victor, messes something up with his experiment, and ends up like exposing the kids to this different pocket dimensional sort of radiation of sorts, which basically swapped out their bodies with kind of a possibility of something that could have happened to them in a different universe. So Reed Richards ends up with a stretchable body. They explain the Human Torch away with him being able to process natural sugars and carbohydrates, and he actually has, while it feels like skin, he's actually got vents in his body, kind of has now has a system to convert this energy into plasma, and so on. I'm not going to bore you with all the details. So they updated the universe, and now they want to kind of reboot everything for real. And part of it is the Ultimate line is failing financially. The lines that they had were successful for a while, and then it just kind of fell apart. So now they're just having a major event, which is called Secret Wars. Now, the Secret Wars was done in the 80s, and basically it was done as a kind of a toy money grab of sorts. They made a line of toys, and they had this interesting sort of mini-series that they created around it that had lasting impact with the actual comic books universe. And it was kind of a intergalactic being creates a sort of an arena of sorts, where it was the heroes versus the villains, and they just needed to keep fighting over and over and over. Was how that was kind of structured. So, true to form, they decided to, when they're going to do this reboot, they're doing what they're calling the Secret Wars, or Secret War, and it's going to be the Keystone event that's going to reboot the universes.
Aren't they doing a series before Secret Wars called World's End or something like that to kind of
Yeah.
gradually work into that?
I believe the phrase you're looking for is drag it out.
Oh.
Yes. Yes, they are. They're just trying to cash in. And it makes sense. That's what DC did, and I guess dragging it out into 2 or 3 series to make a lot of money while they reboot and try to get people excited about it is the way they want to go. And
No, they're doing it this spring, right?
Yeah, the let's see, the Secret Wars kickoff that I might as well look at the actual and talk about the actual story that we're going on here about, which is from thenerdist.com. They confirmed that months of speculation that the 8-issue series Secret Wars will represent the end of not only the Ultimate Universe, but the Classic Universe as well, and ending that 50 years of continuity. Tom, I can never pronounce his name, Brevoort, whatever, didn't mince words in a tweet that coincided with the event of the Secret Wars kickoff. The Ultimate Universe, the Marvel Universe, they're going to slap together. It's more than the Marvel Universe and Ultimate Universe. It's all the universes you can imagine. Like I said, the Classic Universe has 616. Every universe has its own number, so that there is more than 616 universes. Mm-hmm. So it's all these different universes, and they're going to restructure them all, and it's going to take place on Battle World. And it's the melting world from which the new Marvel Universe will be fermented. Various characters will live their lives and contend with this new situation and set up all the building blocks and the bedrock for what the new Marvel Universe will be going forward. Hey, they're going to have a whole bunch of licensed tie-ins with Secret Wars with Hasbro, Diamond Select. Diamond is a comic book distributor. They're the only really major one left, and they have this select line of action figures. Another company called Mighty Fine Funko. They make some of the smaller stylized figures. Yep. Hot Wheels, and then Marvel has their own game division. After all, that was the driving force behind the original 1984 Secret Wars. Like I said, they tied it in and sold a bunch of action figures and miniseries and made some money.
This spring's going to be a very interesting time because DC is also doing a major event, which sounds like they may be ditching the New 52 and going back to their original universe.
Well, here's the thing, and I know you're getting back into, or you're just really kind of diving into comics. When DC, there was a time when they would do annual miniseries and have little events here and there. DC kind of restructured everything by making a 52. They did a weekly comic book series for a year, and at the end of that, they completely rebooted the universe. Now, they did the Flashpoint series, which was probably 2 or 3 years later, and that's where the Flash goes back in time and saves his mother's life and completely screws up the universe, or at least Earth Prime, their timeline, and really wrecks everything. So Marvel, not to be outdone, ended up doing their own event-driven comic book series, and they've just kind of been going back and forth. The new thing to do is event-driven arcs, and it's part of the reason why I got out of collecting comics, frankly. A special event is no longer special if you're constantly doing them, and it just feels more and more like a money grab, and DC's convergence is probably going to placate some of the older people like myself who enjoyed how the DC universe was sort of structured before they rebooted the universes. And maybe they're placating or attempting to placate some of them and bring them back, but event-driven stuff is just happening constantly, so it's no longer special anymore.
Back to Marvel. Back to Marvel. Do you think they're trying to realign this new universe with the cinematic universe? Do you think that's one of the reasons they're doing it?
No. I to be honest, when you have 50 plus years of editorial and continuity baggage, the best thing that you can do is to keep some of the good bits and pieces. I mean, comic book nerds like myself would tell you that the whole Spider-Clone saga was complete and utter horse crap and should never have happened. And in doing this, it goes away. It's gone. It's no longer there. So you don't have to deal with all the Spider-Clone crap. That is no longer baggage that you as an incoming writer would ever have to deal with again. Mm-hmm. So it makes sense to clear the decks from time to time. It's just doing it right and not making it look like you're screwing everybody that actually buys a comic book into just taking more of their money. You know, there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it, and it really feels like, you know, when you do all these tie-ins and all this other crap, it's just you're trying to milk something so hard, it just makes it unappealing.
Are they going to start with number ones all over again? Like, are they going to tell the origin stories for all these all over again?
I'm sure they will.
Well, it's a good time to get into comics then. If you're new to comics, after this event series, it might be a good time to get into the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, at this point, you know, older people like myself will probably step away once again, and all the kids can get back into starting over with their comics. And then, you know, 5 years down the road, they'll renumber everything back to what it would have been if those series had... I mean, it's happened before. Marvel sort of rebooted the Avengers comics and did what was it, Heroes Reborn, and they basically rebooted Fantastic Four, the Avengers, Captain America, Iron Man, and after that failed, and they had Rob Liefeld do a lot of the artwork, so of course it failed. But they ended up renumbering the comics back from 1 to what the number would be if that had continued on and pretended like it never happened. So, yeah, if you're gonna do it and stick to your guns. You know, you lose people like me who collected comic books for a long period of time, and if you're okay with that, be okay with it. Just don't fuck around. Move forward, do the thing, and be done with it.
All right, hang on. I gotta make a note of here.
Yes, I'm sorry. I dropped the F-bomb. You're welcome.
All right. That was probably about 48 minutes in. Okay.
Yep.
We'll edit this part out too, so it doesn't sound funny. All right. All right. So cool stuff. Thanks, Brad. That was a great explanation. It really helps for us newer people, newer into comic books. And
somebody wake up Matt.
Yeah, Matt. We're done talking about comic books.
I'm still here.
Okay.
Hey.
All right. So final discussion story of the week is I found this really cool article on Blaster.com of a bunch of long in the works movies that have been in production for a very long time that haven't seen the silver screen yet, and these movies. These are ones that they think would work well on TV. So basically, scrap the plans for the big screen movie on these stories and just put them on TV and be done with it. So I picked, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4 of the, I don't know, 9 or 10 that they have on their list. So here we go. The first one that I picked is At the Mountains of Madness. This is based on You might recognize this, Brad, because I know you're a big H.P. Lovecraft fan. This
Yep.
is based on H.P. Lovecraft's 1936 novella of the same name, and it follows an expedition into the Antarctica where a huge alien city is found. Guillermo del Toro has been working on this project since 2006. He's been trying to get it to actually make it into a film since 2006. A couple of reasons that it hasn't made it there yet is because Del Toro insisted on an R rating, and Hollywood does not like R-rated films. They can't make as much money as they can with PG or PG-13. And also, the plot was too similar to Prometheus, so that's another reason why it didn't make the Brad, yes? Go ahead.
Two things. One, just for clarification, the reason why it would be rated R is for disturbing gore, essentially. I don't want to give too much away, but they do find an older alien. They dissect it. Some of these other older aliens wake up and dissect the humans and the dogs. So these people come and there's blood and gore everywhere, and it's not pretty. Is it like Prometheus? Not really. It's I could see where they could kind of come up with that. At least from, yeah. Okay. Yeah, it is. I guess it would be considered somewhat similar to Prometheus in that, you've got these scientists going to investigate some weird thing that they've discovered.
Are involved.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But
do you think it would work like on HBO if they made it into a series on HBO?
It has a beginning and it has an end.
No middle?
Well, I mean, it's not. Game of Thrones is based on a series of books that are still being written. This novella, seriously, it starts with the guy who's telling a story he's broken. This experience, he's telling the experience of what happened at the Mountains of Madness, and he is shattered as a human being. So you could make it a mini series, but you couldn't make it an extended, 5-season, 8-season thing. It would have a beginning and it would have an end, and it would be the telling of this expedition and the expedition that went to find the first expedition, and what happened.
Okay. All right. Next one on the list is, and this is a story that I'm familiar with. It's Rendezvous with Rama. It's based on the 1973 Arthur C. Clarke book of the same name. It's about a massive alien spacecraft that enters our solar system and follows a team of humans that go to investigate it. Both Morgan Freeman and David Fincher have been trying to get this made since the early 2000s. The problem was no one was ever able to nail down a good script for it. So Blaster.com thinks it would make a great miniseries. And this totally sounds like something that sci-fi would do. After they're done doing all this other stuff this year, maybe this is something that they could get their hands on and make it into a miniseries, because that seems to be their thing these days.
Well, as long as they don't turn it into, what was the Earthseas or whatever?
Yeah.
That was so lampooned and hated by the people that loved the books that it just was comical. So
okay, well, we'll see what happens. This is just Blaster.com kind of thinking out loud, wishing upon a star, kind of a what if situation. So Rendezvous with Rama, that's one that's been in development hell for a long time that they think would make a great TV miniseries. Okay, so the next one that I picked out is Snow Crash. Are you guys familiar with the book Snow Crash?
Negative.
That's what, Stevenson?
Yeah, Neil Stevenson.
Yeah. Yep.
And apparently it's a very long, complicated story. And it's been in development hell since almost since it first got published back in 1993. Most recently, by Joe Cornish of Attack the Block. He's the guy that's been most recently interested in making it into a movie. And so they think that it would be a good series because it's so long. Rather than try to squeeze everything, this long, complicated story into like a 2 or 3 hour movie, make it into a series. And you'll have plenty of time to explain everything thoroughly. Have you read it, Brad?
It's on my radar of things to read, but I've seen a friend of mine has the hardcover, and it's pretty prolific. It's a hefty looking book. So
It could kill somebody if you threw it at them.
yeah, it
Okay.
would not feel good.
All right, so the final one, and this is one that you might be interested in there, Matthew.
Mm-hmm.
Bioshock. It's, of course, based on the game of the same name. And go ahead.
I mean, I feel like the game was fun. Like only partially because of the story, in my opinion. It's just like the concept and what you see. So I feel like if they had to create a story around it, they might just ruin it.
So what's the story of the video game?
I don't remember. 2 is not good, so you'll have to forgive me for not really remembering. But the first one, you're in a plane crash and you find basically shoot, I can't remember the name. Metropolis?
No, the underwater sea.
Why can't I think of the name?
It's Rapture, isn't it?
Rapture, yeah. You find Rapture, which is like an underwater city that was built to be essentially the perfect place. And they start creating these plasmids that are like injections, or you can shoot fire. Sorry, you can shoot fire and lightning and do other stuff out of your hands. And the whole place just kind of goes to hell in a handbasket. And when you show up, like, everything's overrun and destroyed, and there are people who they took too many plasmids, and now they're kind of freakish, and you just show up at the ruins of, like, what once was. And you have to find little sisters, I believe they're called, right, Brad?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Little sisters.
and you would harvest Atom from them, which Atom is like your kind of a currency, no, it'd be like mana essentially, because the Atom is what you use for the plasmids, yada yada yada. They all come full circle. 2 sucks, and then 3, you play someone else with a different storyline, but you still end up in Rapture, and there are things that happen in 3 that like supposedly happen at the same exact time in 1. Like at the end of 3, you're in Rapture and you hear this big explosion, and if you go back and play 1, something blows up when you're in a similar area. So they did stuff like that. So I think it would be really hard to make a show about 2 or 3 completely different storylines and like mold it into 1. They would have to pick 1, and I don't think you'd get the full effect out of that.
Okay, all right. Good insight, because I had no idea what it was about.
It's a super fun game if you're into first-person shooters and stuff like that.
And there's puzzle solving, and they really did a lot of world building. And as you go through, you find recordings, and you find more insight into the descent into madness that this person that wanted to make this utopia, Rapture, and his discovery of the plasmids and everything, and just going through the game and just watching that descent into madness it was really well structured. A very good game.
I think the whole world building thing aspect of it is one of the reasons why Blaster thinks it would make a great TV show, because it's so complicated, diverse, it's got so many different levels to it. I think that's why they think that's their thinking behind it being a good TV show.
Yep.
I could see that.
All right, so there you go. There's more on that list, and you can check out the show notes for the link to the Blaster article to see the rest of the ones that they think, the movies in development hell, that would make great TV shows. And, of course, you can get the links to all the other articles on the show notes of the podcast. You can read more about it.
Wow.
All right, that's going to pretty much do it for this episode of the Sci-Fi Geeks Club. Thank you for joining us. Thanks for joining me, my co-hosts, Brad and Matt, especially Matt. Thanks for being a trooper, and working through the pain.
We missed you, Matthew.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't like missing the show, but I apparently choose to live a lifestyle in which I do too many things. So yeah, there's that.
All right, you can find the Sci-Fi Geeks Club by going to galacticnetcasts.com. You can click on either listen or subscribe. You can watch our episodes at youtube.com/galacticnetcasts. Search for us on iTunes, Stitcher, and TuneIn Radio as well. Please give us 5 stars if you like us, and leave a positive review. That helps us get more subscribers, or gets us more listeners. And what you can do, what the single most important thing that you could do for us is to spread the word between this episode and the next. Tell at least one person that you know that, hey, there's this great podcast. It's called SciFi Geeks Club. They talk about the week sci-fi. They're funny. They're awesome, and I think you'd really like it. That's what we want you to do. That's your mission, okay? If you choose to accept it, tell at least one person this week about us and that you like the show a lot. That'd be great. Leave us feedback. Email galacticnetcasts@gmail.com or call our voicemail number 805-328-3966. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Google+. That's going to do it for this episode, like I said before, of the Sci-Fi Geeks Club. I called this meeting adjourned. We'll talk to you guys later.
Woohoo!
Bye, Dad.